And welcome back to the Over 40s Fitness Podcast. My name's Tristan Lowe, and here we are now, mid-October 2024. For those of you watching on YouTube, if you can look there, right there are today's, the subject of today's quick short talk on blood pressure. That's the readings I had today. I took this at my local GP through a floor-mounted blood pressure testing equipment, and my systolic reading was 127. And my diastolic was 64 with a resting heart rate. My diastolic was 64 with a resting heart rate of 64. And that's after walking up to my surgery and also a cup of coffee. So I think the readings there of 127 over 64 are okay. I'd like to bring the diastolic up to around 70. Okay. Now, the reason we're talking about that is because on a regular basis, I would say 2 to 3 times a year now, at the very least, I go and get my blood test done, for those of you that know. And look there, you can see that. There's the actual, all right, that's a little bit of gauze they put on when they've taken blood. Right now, it's something that I think men and women should do on a regular basis. And ordinarily, people go and visit their local GP, their surgery, their specialist, endocrinologist, cardiovascular specialist, something like that, when there's alarm bells ringing, or there's something that they think, okay, right, perhaps I should go and get it looked at now. And that would be something like early stages, early warning signs of hypertension, stress, pains down the neck, headaches, pains in the arms, tingling in the hands, inability to sleep, poor focus levels, craving for processed or junk food, irritability, poor decision making. There's 101 reasons why. And I'm not a doctor, I'm a qualified personal trainer and sports massage therapist, of which I see a lot of people, and we take the blood pressure readings on a regular basis. And if there's hypertension, let's say 130 over 90 or higher, or hypotension, something like 100 or 90 on the systolic reading, over right down to 40 or 50 on the diastolic, we would say, right, go and see your GP, get booked in with your specialist, and look at blood pressure, have another reading taken, buy another machine as well, and then of course have it, take your own readings at home, once a day or twice a day. And that's something you should discuss with your GP. Now, I've got a book here. This book was bought for me by my nieces and nephews years ago. I'm talking, I don't know, may have been 12, 13 years ago. I can't remember. The Human Body, because they know Uncle Tristan likes to study and talk about the body. They bought me this smashing book, and I've kept it because they bought it for me. It essentially covers what I looked at in my studies when I was studying to be an SMT, a sports massage therapist and personal trainer, back in 2008. I'm just going to read a short paragraph in here about blood and vessels, and of course it goes into very, very fine detail as well, over about 8 pages just on blood. But here's a quick headline. Blood is a collection of specialized cells suspended in straw-colored liquid called plasma. Blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to the body cells. It collects wastes, distributes hormones, spreads heat around our bodies, and controls our temperature. It also plays a part in fighting infection and healing injuries. So the blood is part of a system, the circulatory system, which without we'd be dead. Okay, blood carries oxygen and nutrients around the body. Now, because it's something that we can only see when we get a cut or a rip or a tear on our own bodies, we tend to kind of ignore it. We ignore blood because we can't see it, because it's inside a system. It's inside a closed system, a circulatory system, which is inside our skeletal frame. But without that, we wouldn't be alive. So it's something that I think we should actually pay close attention to. Blood pressure, elevated blood pressure, hypertension, and lower blood pressure, hypotension, is something we ordinarily can't see. Again, there are some signals and telltale signs. Sometimes people get achy eyes, anything like that. So I would say, don't leave it. Don't leave your blood pressure issues, if you've got any, until you get warning signs. Go and get it checked out. Go and buy yourself a set of blood pressure monitor, those power cuffs you can buy from different manufacturers. I think if you spend about 40 or 50 pound, you can get a reasonably effective set of home blood pressure kits, testing kits. We use them at my centre, and we urge our clients to take their blood pressure at least once a week, and if they've got an issue, take it once or twice a day. So remember that it's important to get your readings taken, whether you do it on your own at home, or whether you do it with your local physician or with your trainer. Don't ignore it. Don't leave it too late and then find out. What I have found, and there is evidence to show to back up why this is the case. Often I see women, middle-aged women, let's say 35 to 70, that have got low blood pressure, sometimes post-pregnancy, sometimes hormonal changes in the body. And of course, what I found with some of the men, they've got high blood pressure. They tend to be more muscular inside. We tend to do more dangerous professions, or we tend to do more dangerous sports, tend to work longer hours. Not always the case. You may have a nurse that does a 13, 14-hour shift, or a factory worker who does a 10 to 12-hour shift. But generally, men work longer hours. I think in terms of driving, probably 90 to 95% of full-size articulated lorries that drive up and down the country are driven by men. It's a stressful position to be in. You know, you've got a vehicle that weighs, I don't know, anything up to 18 tons, and it could have another 10-ton load on it. So they're stressful positions to be in. Pilots, you know, people in the armed forces. So, and of course, men that run businesses as well. They could be, you know, have high blood pressure because they're constantly under some form of either acute, short-lived, or chronic long-term stress. And of course, the other one is lack of exercise. And it's one where we would actually guide a client and say, okay, right, John, right, Dave, week after week, you're presenting high blood pressure. Okay, let's look at what you're eating. Let's reduce your salt intake. Let's reduce your alcohol intake and increase your exercise. And not just cardiovascular exercise, not just walking, running, swimming, cycling, but also some strength-based movements as well. You want to actually be able to deliver blood around your body effectively, you know, around the organs, around your circulatory system, towards the muscles as well. You want to carry oxygen around your body and help to get rid of old metabolic waste products in the body and push new invigorated blood cells full of good nutrients back into the body, and that's from the brain to your feet. So again, just because you can't see blood unless you cut yourself, it doesn't mean to say you should ignore it. There's an argument for blood pressure readings are possibly in some ways more important than your body weight readings, because you could be like me, you could be 6'4", best part of 180 pounds, but have abnormally high blood pressure. So in terms of my body weight and my muscle mass, for my age at 53, it's very good. But I could have a really, really stressful lifestyle, which elevates my blood pressure. I could have, you know, poor sleep, poor nutrition, okay? Or you could be underweight and have low blood pressure. So when someone looks at you, they see someone that's thin, underweight, and they think, oh, they've not got any issues because they're not obese. They're not carrying too much visceral fat or abdominal fat or body fat because they're slim or they're thin. Well, that person could have, male or female, abnormally low blood pressure, but you can't see it. You know, it's like back pain. You know, half the country's off work, or they're constantly ringing in sick because they've got back pain, and it's actually more prevalent in certain industries as well. But you can't see it. Now, if someone fell over and broke their leg, you can see it. They've got a broken leg, they're in a plaster cast. But back pain, you know, light blood pressure, there's not a lot to see. There's a lot to feel and a lot to experience, but not a lot to see. And so people can't gauge, you know, whether your back pain or your blood pressure, hypertension or hypotension is something to be concerned about. What I would guide you to do or advise you is actually address it before it's a problem. Yeah? Don't think, oh, I'm going to wait until I'm 61 or 49 to get my blood pressure taken, or I'm going to wait until my eyes are popping out and I can't sleep and I've got tingling in the hands and I can't focus while I'm driving and I'm cursing and cussing while I'm driving at everyone. Everyone else is a problem. Everybody at work's a problem. Everyone out on the road is a problem. TV, social media. It may appear, John or Jill, whoever you are, whoever you're watching, that you have got elevated blood pressure. And likewise, if you're constantly feeling faint, or you're falling over, or you feel like you need to lie down and there's no particular reason why, you get dizzy spells, Any sort of physical exertion seems too much, you may have low blood pressure. So at the very least, go and buy yourself a kit. I wouldn't say go and get a mercury reading meter. When we studied, we had to use the sphygmomanometers to test blood pressure. We used to have the little mercury readings with the little scope and whatnot, and they made us take blood pressure readings. But of course, there's so many variables in that where you put the scope. You know, where is the room quiet or not? Are there any other people in the room? I would say you don't need to buy that sort of equipment. Just go and spend £30 to £40 on a set of cuffs, or go and see your GP on the NHS, and it's free, and they'll take it. And sometimes you can walk into reception, and while you're waiting, there could be one of those machines like I use, and you put your arm in the machine. It's a floor standing machine. They probably cost a couple of grand by the looks of them, and they take a pretty accurate reading. And you should do that whilst you're waiting. You sit down quietly, take your jacket off, put your arm in, puts the pressure on your upper arm, okay, and of course your veins pop and it feels like it's really tight, closing, and it should do. And then 30 seconds later, there you go, you've got your reading like I showed you. Well, that's it for today. Look after your body, look after your blood. Without it, you wouldn't be here, okay? And of course, again, what we're going to do is look at the heart structure as well. And of course, the heart being I think the most used muscle in the body. It's used before we're actually even born, while we're still in the womb. So the heart, the most used muscle, but it's not the most unique muscle. That's for another conversation. The heart, the most used muscle, but it's not the most unique. And if you know the answer to why that is, feel free to comment. And then we'll look at how the heart beats. All right, so some of you may find it quite a sort of almost boring subject. Yeah, well, okay, well, that's fine. We're not going to talk every week about movie stars and sports stars and what's trending. That's important, but also what's equally, if not more important, is what's physiology, not ideology. What is a fact about your body? Men or women, I've got 5 personal training appointments ahead of me today. And I think what I'll do is that there's at least 1, if not 2, of the clients that I'm going to see that I'm going to ask them when's the last time they had their blood pressure taken, and possibly give them a little bit of guidance to go and get it done. All right, my name's Tristan Lowe, and the podcast is Over 40s Fitness with Tristan Lowe. You can get me find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I'm a professional personal trainer, qualified in 2008, and I'm still learning myself. I learn whilst my clients learn, and if I can learn something about the body, about people's behavioural patterns when it comes to health and fitness, I'd like to impart that on you as well. I don't have any sponsorships for my channel. I think I've only got about 68, 69 subscribers. It's growing very, very slowly, but I'm working my way towards 100 episodes. And I'd like you to join me, and feel free to comment, share and subscribe it. All right, until the next time, look after your blood. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye for now.